Hello, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer. For those who this is your first video perhaps, just a little bit about myself. I've got 40 years experience in astrology as a teacher of astrology and also a practitioner, and I've also done over 30,000 horoscopes for people worldwide, and I've had the website going now for quite a few years. And now I've started doing videos in the last 15 months. Started doing videos, and it's nice to have the opportunity to be able to share these things with you and to welcome you to this particular video on ending your pain. Sound familiar? Well, all of us certainly have experienced plenty of pain in our life, and I'm going to delineate an understanding about pain that will be a little bit deeper than what you've perhaps perceived before, that will help you to understand a lot about the causes of pain and what pain actually is. So just sit back and relax now. Enjoy the journey with me as far as you wish to go. What we're going to talk about in this video is that which lies beneath the fear, the hurt, the self-punishment, and the loneliness that I've spoken about so much in my other videos. Pain is the nebulous residue that is left behind long after you have handled the fear, the hurt, the loneliness, and the self-punishment. In this video, we want to deal with ending that pain. Sound like a familiar topic? Familiar to your senses? Beneath each of these, fear, hurt, loneliness, and self-punishment lies a seed, often unnoticed and unattended to. But this seed, when left unattended to, always sprouts and grows and roots and ultimately surfaces as one of these components in your life. As you deal with it adequately or inadequately, or you postpone handling the fear, the hurt, the loneliness, and the self-punishment, somehow circumstances change and you merrily move on your way. You say to yourself, the fear and the hurt is gone. So let's not rock the boat. Let's not try to dig it up and find out what was the cause of that fear and that hurt. The prospect of really ending the pain is certainly exciting. None of us would doubt that. It's just that the process of doing that is perhaps a different matter. Indeed, even the thought of dealing with the pain, that is the inner cause of the hurt and the fear, can in itself be pain-producing. It can also be very, very elusive. Ending the pain can indeed be very frightening, because deep down you don't even know what pain is. You know what it feels like, there's no doubting that. It hurts, but you don't really know what pain is. Because it is frightening and elusive, most time pain goes unchallenged in your world. Nobody stops to look at it and analyze it. Pain often goes unchallenged in our society because it's looked upon and associated with weakness. If you were a stronger person, you wouldn't be experiencing this pain, they say to you. By admitting that you're in pain in our society, you are setting yourself up for domination, manipulation, and ridicule. Also, there's a connotation in our society that if you are in pain, somehow you must have done something wrong and therefore deserve the pain. Well, if you're so spiritual, why are you in pain? Also, there's a sense of shame connected with pain. Well, if you're so spiritual, why are you in pain? Also, to admit that you're in pain many times is embarrassing, with those that you're admitting that to clearing their throat and looking at the ceiling. They don't want to talk about pain. Let's talk about your fear. Let's talk about your hurt. Let's talk about your loneliness. Yes, we can go on for hours about that, but when it comes to pain, I've got an appointment, I better get going. If we can just talk about anger, fear, loneliness, and hurt, that's okay. But pain, let's change the subject. It's not only embarrassing, but parenthetically, it's threatening. With this nebulous thing that lies beneath the surface of our society, below the surface of the discord, the malady, the distress in our society, so often pain goes unchallenged. Well, in spite of the hurt, fear, discomfort and embarrassment caused by pain, we are going to discuss it anyway. We are going to begin by looking at what pain is. You know what fear is? Basically, it's a threat. You know what loneliness is? Basically, that's being cut off and alienated. You know what punishment is, whether it's self-punishment or natural, or self-punishment disguised as punishment from others. It is an act of aggression. You understand that hurt is a function of alienation. I would suggest that pain is the blossom that sprouts these particular maladies, these particular thistles in your reality. It is the seed. It is the invisible cause of these maladies. Fear, hurt, loneliness, and punishment. It is the seed that lies there beneath your fear, each of your hurts, each act of punishment, and each state of loneliness. It can also be the seed for your anger, for your manipulations, for your martyrhood, your victimhood, and your self-pity. But primarily, it's the seed of your hurt, fear, loneliness, and self-punishment. These four thistle-like blossoms that so often show up in your reality. Pain is not only the seed of all of these blossoms, but it is also the harvest. It is the residue that is left behind when these four temporarily disappear. More specifically, pain is a synergy, a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. Pain is a synergy of separation from and a longing for. It's not just separation, that's more associated with loneliness and with hurt. It's not just a longing for, that's more associated with fear and with punishment. When you take these two, separation and a longing for, and combine them, then mystically out of it comes a mist called pain. It's important to understand that you have four levels from which you perceive your reality. 4 points of observation from which you perceive the events of your life. They are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So you perceive things physically with your sight, you perceive things emotionally with your emotions, you perceive things mentally with your mind, and you perceive things spiritually with your higher mind. Pain can be perceived from any one of these platforms. Each experience of pain is a separation from and a longing for. Physical pain is a separation from and a longing for control. Control of the events of your life. To be in control of your world. When you feel out of control, you will most times create physical pain for yourself. Quite often, the physical pain is a separation from and a longing for. I feel so out of touch with my feelings, separation from and a longing for, that I am going to hurt myself physically just so that I can feel. And so you kick your toe on the coffee table, or you bump your head on the open fridge door as a way to have feelings. At least when I feel the pain, I know that I'm alive. I know that I exist, that I'm not just dreaming. On emotional levels, when you feel emotional pain, it is a separation from and a longing for belonging. You want to feel as if you are part of a group, or that you belong in a relationship where you can have a sense of belonging, that your presence makes a difference and has meaning, be it belonging to an individual or a group. You just want to have a feeling of belonging. Additionally, emotional pain is a separation from and a longing for love, intimacy, and caring. As much as you push away from them, there is a longing for love, intimacy, and caring. When you are in emotional pain, therefore, you have a separation from and a longing for love, intimacy, and caring. Now, I know that this video is very deep and I'm going into the complexities of pain, and so you're probably going to have to play this video a number of times. Each time that you play it, you'll probably hear things that you swear you never heard before, to integrate it into your understanding. When you are experiencing mental pain and are harboring self-destructive thoughts, it is a separation from and a longing for understanding. Not necessarily to be understood, but to be able to say, finally, I can put the pieces of my life together and understand where I'm going wrong, what's happening in my life, where it all fits together, and what it all means. Another part of the reason for mental pain is a separation from and a longing for meaning, that I have meaning to my life. Mental pain is also a separation from and a longing for conception and perception. To be able to conceive of an idea or a creation, to create something original and to perceive your creativity. The last pain is spiritual pain. Where does spiritual pain show up in your life? It demonstrates as that hollow feeling, in that empty feeling, in that lack of fulfillment, in that wonder Is this really all there is? Is this really all my life is about? Is getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home in order to be able to earn the money to pay for the food and to pay the bills? Is this what it's really all about? To come home and be lost in the mediocrity of soap operas? I mean, was that the only reason that I was educated, grew up, and became who I am now? Even those of you who've created some brilliant creations and some brilliant futures for yourself and some brilliant successes for yourself certainly still ask these questions and have these hollow feelings. Is this all there is? Is this what the meaning of life is all about? Is just to exist? Is this all there is to life? Working hard, making more money, just so that I can have that additional vacation overseas? Is this really all there is? That pain is a lack of fulfillment, a sense of meaninglessness, and lacking ultimate purpose. It is a separation from and a longing for aesthetics. This is basically a sense of balance, harmony, rhythm, and symmetry in my life. It is also a longing for a relationship, a living, loving, breathing relationship with God, Goddess, all that is. That is inherent within every single one of us, whether we believe in the afterlife or not. Quite often, the search for that special relationship with that special person is an inherent urge for a relationship with God, Goddess, all that is. That relationship with that special person is a substitute for your relationship because of your upbringing, because of pews that were too hard, sermons that were boring, old lady smells, and a God filled with anger, aggression, domination and control and fear, which you chose to spurn. Separation alone can produce loneliness and hurt. The longing for can produce fear and punishment by itself. But put them all together and they produce pain, spiritual pain, a lack of fulfillment. Pain is a separation from and a longing for very specific things. Physical pain, a desire for control. Every human being on the planet has a predisposition to pain. We are hot-wired for it. As we move further into this new century, it's important to understand pain and how to deal with it. Without this understanding, and with humanity in the midst of health crises and the crises of terrorism, the war of the ideologies, you could be heading into a very fearful future filled with ever-increasing pain. You are all presupposed to pain because of a separation from and a longing for wholeness, wanting to be whole and complete, in control in a friendly world, a sense of emotional response and to feel with depth and intensity. Similarly, you have a separation from and a longing for impact. Why do you crave and long for impact? Because you wanted to learn how to love. Only through impact can you learn how to love. Only by being able to hurt you is it possible for me to love you. Only by you being able to hurt me is it possible for me to feel your love. So impact is vital in our reality. That is impact. You wanted to love and to be loved. Without impact, love is not possible. And even though intimacy scares you, you have a longing for intimacy and caring. You want to care for another, and you want another to care for you. Only with impact is that possible. You want to give love, intimacy, and caring, and you want to receive it from others. You also want to belong and to give to another the most beautiful gift that you can give, the gift of them having impact upon you and you having impact upon them. So you are all predisposed to intimacy, caring, love, and belonging. That means you are predisposed to have impact. You are therefore predisposed to pain. You also want to have a sense of value, to be valued by others and to be able to value others. Value comes from a sense of perception and meaning. And finally, everybody has a sense of separation from and a longing for spirituality. There is a deep longing inside of every single one of us for our life to have meaning, purpose, intention, function, fulfillment, and design. A longing to go home. A longing for unity with God, Goddess, all that is. You are therefore predisposed to feel pain, which you deny, reject, ignore, and mask, and which you numb yourself to. More and more now, as we move into this new millennium, you, as part of the human family, in your urge to come home to God, Goddess, all that is, will create a greater capacity in the world to experience pain. The world is moving into a new paradigm. The consciousness of humanity is being stimulated like never before. We have entered into a new millennium. We are entering into a new age. An age of enlightenment. An age of understanding. An age of having purpose and meaning and value to our life. In the last few years, more and more of you have seen more death, killing, crisis, war, aggression, terrorism, and fear and pain than you would have ever imagined even 10 years ago. It's beamed every day into your living rooms via the news channels. Sometimes those of you who have the benefit of insight that is provided by metaphysics must think to yourself, how do the other people out there who are not into metaphysics, how do they survive on a day-by-day basis? How do they cope with the crises in their lives and in the world? How do they even go through one day without metaphysics and the perception that metaphysics brings, the understanding that metaphysics brings? To get up and go to work when they are bombarded with fear of a world that seems to be slipping away. Well, feelings of a world slipping away are unfortunately going to increase. Increase the separation, increase the longing in these predisposed fashions. Globally, we are stepping into a world that is ripe for pain. Unless you know what to do, unless you know what to look for, unless you know the clues to look for. It is important to understand that pain is the seed. If you can remember nothing else of what I've said here on this video, just remember this, that pain is the seed. The world that is coming and the world that you are going to experience is seeded with pain. It is seeded by that separation which has been experienced thus far, with the terrorism and with the health crises in the world and the natural crises of hurricanes and earthquakes and so forth, tsunamis. It is seeded by that longing which seems unanswered thus far. It is the separation and the longing for that has produced this pain, that has produced this seed of pain that is manifesting as this painful world of yours, which then turns around and creates pain for you in either watching it or experiencing it. Not every devastation are you going to experience, but you are going to be privy to a lot of pain and a lot of crisis, a lot of unhappiness in the world that you wish you weren't privy to. Just by being aware of the inner causes of this pain brings enlightenment and understanding. That is your saviour. Greater and greater understanding allows perception. Understanding and perception leads ultimately to spiritual perception, to be able to perceive all of life from a spiritual perspective. Fear disappears as you develop spiritual perception. And how do you develop spiritual perception? You develop spiritual perception by an expansion of your consciousness. By reaching and stretching to become all that you can be and more. To be able to see life from a spiritual point of view. To be able to understand that there's no such thing as death. That you have been given the gift of eternal life by a God, Goddess, all that is, who loves you and knows your name. And they are happy to work with you to help you to be a seed in the world of hope. Every single time that you change your perceptions on the nature of reality and your place in that reality, you radiate out there into the world of human living and thinking hope, understanding, clarity, vision, to understand that life at the human level is only the first level of self-consciousness, that there are beings beyond our level of consciousness who care about you, who care about the evolution of the world, who care about the evolution of humanity. Well, why have they allowed it to get into this condition, you ask yourself? Because they cannot intervene. They cannot impose their will upon our world. Our world is filled with strife and tension and conflict and anger and hate and separative thoughts and shame and guilt and fear and anxiety and doubt and insecurity. It's all of these thoughts of shame and anger and aggression and domination and manipulation and control which must be allowed to play itself out. And so therefore you've got a tremendous amount of extra energy is coming into the planet because we are all on the crest of the wave of evolution. Those of you who are into metaphysics and watching this video, you are on the crest of the wave of evolution. You are a pioneer. You are a map maker. And you are on the crest of the wave of evolution in order to lead humanity into the new age, into the new future. So there's a tremendous amount of energy pouring into the planet. Education has opened up a whole new world of development mentally and spiritually for humanity. But this extra energy that's pouring into the planet stimulates everything that's here. And therefore you will always have the reactionary forces who are stimulated to the negative, who are stimulated in their anger, stimulated in their fear, stimulated in their domination, their manipulation, their control, and stimulated to take humanity back to the past, to cling to the old days and the old glories. Just as we have impact in our world so that we can express our love, we must also be able to hurt. And therefore, impact means that those who want to cling to the past and those who want to drag humanity back to the past and to the old ways, the reactionary forces of the world must be allowed also to have their impact. Because only by them hurting us can they learn how to love. Only by us transforming our consciousness do we radiate a resonant wave of causation out there into the world of human living and thinking that inspires others all over the world that you will never meet to reach and stretch and to study, research and investigate and to expand their consciousness, to expand their understanding, to give them an opportunity to perceive life from a spiritual perspective. So I thank you for your attentiveness here. Subscribe to my videos because I'm producing new videos all the time. Submit your birth details if you haven't had your horoscope done by me yet. Submit your birth details because I will then send you your horoscope chart, which helps you to understand yourself. Only by understanding yourself can you get the motivation to change. Only by getting the motivation to change will you have the motivation to go in through my other videos and through my CDs and go through my intensives, expanding that consciousness, expanding those belief patterns, transforming and changing yourself. That radiates a resonant wave of causation out there into the world and will heal the world. So I thank you for your attentiveness here and look forward to working further with you should you decide to submit your birth details through my website www.mysteryofsirius.com. Thank you.